everybody. Greg Pruitt here. It is April 4th, 2023. We are now, I don't know, estimating somewhere in the range of a week left in the legislative session for 2023. And I wanted to touch briefly on gun bills at the Idaho Capitol because, quite frankly, the process hasn't really changed in the last 10 years. It's pretty much been the same since I started doing this in 2012, my first legislative session as the president of the ISA was in 2013. And so people often ask me, how does it work? Like, what is so hard about moving gun bills in the Idaho Capitol? Because it's not easy. It's never been easy. It's always been difficult. And so that's what I wanted to touch on today. Let us know in the comments where you guys are watching from here in the state of Idaho, or if you're in Idaho and watching outside of the state, let us know where you guys are watching from. And hopefully you're enjoying some warmer weather. I live down in southeast Idaho, and we had snow again this morning. Thankfully, it's all melted, and I know we need it. I know God is providing some much needed moisture because the last, I don't know how many summers have been dreadfully, dreadfully hot and dry. And so I believe we have a lot of moisture this year in Idaho, which is going to be good. But all that being said, what is also dry is the amount of solid pro-gun legislation moving at the Idaho Capitol, despite the efforts of the Idaho Second Amendment Alliance and gun owners all across the state of Idaho. So how does this all work? Well, for those that have been following us for a really long time, you know how this works and you know what I'm about to get into. There used to be what we call, and maybe there still is to some extent, a secret gun committee. Okay, they didn't call it that. We coined that term because essentially that's what it was. Okay, it was the Speaker of the House at the time, which was Scott Becky, and Judy Boyle and Todd Lakey on the House side, and at least maybe the others, and Todd Lakey on the House side. Um, the Senate Pro Tem, I don't remember who that was back in the day, and maybe a couple others, and the NRA was also part of that, by the way. And they would all get together behind closed doors, not out in public, where people could understand what was being debated, what was being proposed, what was being shot down behind the scenes. And they would essentially determine what gun bills were going to move forward because they didn't want to do more than one, right? It's rare that you see a good, solid, more than one piece of pro gun legislation move forward. There may be some, like, for lack of a better term, cleanup bills or bills that don't really do anything. There may be multiple of those. But when it comes to solid stuff like constitutional carry, stand your ground, Second Amendment Preservation Act, preemption stuff, they do the least amount that they possibly can. And so now, is that committee still exist? Maybe in some degree. But basically, the way it works now is, and I went and met with the Speaker of the House, I went and met with the Senate Pro Tem, and Christy can attest to this too. And both of them said, so in the House, who is Speaker Mike Moyle, we had a very good conversation. He asked me, what does Judy think about it? Here's the thing, Judy Boyle doesn't like me, and that's fine. I don't care. I'm here to push pro-gun legislation. I don't care who. Her bill is House Bill 295, or that's one of the bills that she helped on. We supported it. Okay. I don't hold grudges. Okay. That's not my style. My style is pass the freaking gun bills, all of them. If there's 50 of them, pass them all. Shove it down the gun grabbers' throats. Make this the number one state. I think it is. Technically, in the guns and ammo ranking, we're ranked behind Wyoming right now. But I still think it's the best pro Second Amendment state in the country. So I think we should ram all of the gun bills through. Every single one of them. And so in the House, Mike Moyle will say, well, what does Judy Boyle think? Well, I don't know what she thinks about this issue. I'll send it over to her. And what are you going to do if she disagrees, right? That's the big question. If she's like, I don't know about that. Because I don't know what makes Judy or anybody else an arbiter of gun bills, because there shouldn't be one, right? And I'm not saying that Judy has requested that. I'm not saying that she demands that of the Speaker or anybody else. I'm just saying, if Representative Boyle has an opinion or a comment about an issue, that's totally fine. Like, I don't have an issue with that. But if it's an issue where you guys want it, then it should have a public hearing, regardless of what Judy Boyle or anybody else says. Okay? If there's a bill with 30 legislators, which is what we have with SB 1004, okay, the Stand Your Ground expansion bill, Over 1/3 of the legislature is signed on as a co-sponsorship. And you have to understand they represent somewhere in the range of 50,000 voices each. I think it's 55,000. So you got to take 55,000 times it by 30, and that's the amount of Idahoans they represent for this particular bill. So to me, it doesn't matter if Judy Boyle or anybody else doesn't like the bill. There's enough support behind it that it warrants a public hearing before it goes behind closed doors and people just squash it. Now, we started it in the Senate, so you can't really blame the House at this point. You have to blame the Senate for not moving this forward. Same thing in the Senate. We went and met with Senator Winder, who's the pro tem, and hey, we've got this bill, lots of support, we want a public hearing. Did he do it? I don't know what he did behind the scenes. I don't think he was pushing it up fairly late into the session. He hadn't even read it yet. So, but his first thing when I met him at the beginning of the session is, talk to Senator Lakey. Okay, Senator Lakey is a former prosecutor. Typically, not always, like our attorney, Alexandra Kincaid, is a former prosecutor. So she understands both sides, but she's vehemently pro-gun and is all about doing whatever it takes to make the government's job harder. Okay, despite having worked on that side before. I don't think Senator Lakey's in that same boat. Okay, Senator Lakey, he will do everything he can to take a bill, water it down, and make it do almost nothing. And so those are the two people, Senator Lakey and Judy Boyle. And I'm not saying that they've demanded that of leadership, but it's this long-standing quote-unquote tradition, apparently, that unless you get those two to sign off on a gun bill, then your gun bill doesn't go anywhere. Does that sound right to you? Does that sound like an official process? That sounds like an unofficial process that nobody elected those people to put in place. Okay? Bills should have public hearings. If you have a problem with stand your ground expansion, let it be known publicly. Let it come forward that you are opposed for whatever reason it is. Now, we got told by Senator Guthrie, who is the chairman, who ultimately has the power to give that bill a public hearing. It just goes too far. It just goes too far. That was what he told Senator Zito. Leadership doesn't like it. It goes too far. Which is probably code for, we talked to Senator Lakey, the former prosecutor, and he doesn't like it. Okay. I even told Senator Winder, I'm like, look, Lakey's a former prosecutor. He doesn't like me. He's never going to approve this. So why do we care? At this point, you're telling me that you're going to let one attorney's opinion, who is an attorney in the Capitol, you're going to let him decide the fate of a bill just based on his opinion. Because Senate Bill 1004 is already the law in Florida and has been for a really long time. And our attorneys have talked to the attorneys, a bunch of attorneys in Florida, who say it's working fine. There hasn't been any issues. But you see, we don't like to lead in Idaho when it comes to guns. No. We like to follow. That's what our legislators like to do. They wait until a dozen other states have done something and then they pass it. Just like when we tried to push constitutional carry starting in 2013. We didn't get it passed. Most of it passed until 2016. Then we had to do 2 cleanup bills because they refused to do it right the first time. But it took that long just to get constitutional carry passed. And by then, I think we were state number 9, if I remember correctly. So we don't really lead on gun issues, okay? Or any issue for that matter. The only issue I can think that the Idaho actually passed first that I was like, oh, okay, was banning men from playing in women's sports and ruining women's sports. I think we were the first state to do that, and I was flabbergasted because that's almost never happened before. Butch Otter, Brad Little, these aren't people that are out there really championing conservative causes like, let's say, Governor DeSantis is. They're not doing that, okay? So that's kind of how it works at the Capitol. The leadership expects you to go and talk to these people who hate us. Look, people at the Capitol and the establishment, they don't like us because we hold people accountable. We tell the truth. We tell it like it is. And we're not afraid to stand up toe-to-toe with these people and go, this is wrong. This is right. This is what gun owners want. Hold a public hearing. That's where bills should go to die, is at a public hearing with a public vote by the legislature. But they don't want to do it. Instead, what they want to do is pass bills that they can water down, and then at election time they can go, hey, look, we voted for HB this or SB that, and look how wonderful it is. And as an example, take House Bill 295. If you don't know what House Bill 295 is, it was a bill, I think it was sponsored by Representative Boyle on the House side, or maybe it was Ted Hill. Or no, it said as in the Senate. I can't even remember. It was Ted Hill and Judy Boyle maybe on the House, and then somebody else on the Senate. I can't remember who it was. Anyway, House Bill 295 prevents credit card companies from coding firearms and ammunition specifically that they can track. Now, normally I'm the type of person where I say, hey, look, government telling private businesses what to do, not a thing. However, in this case, these are companies that have clearly shown that they work hand in hand with the government. It's a public-private partnership, and at that point, I don't consider you a private company anymore. Sorry. So the goal of House Bill 295 was to prevent that from happening at any financial institution, credit card companies, banks, lenders, any of that stuff. It would prevent all of that from occurring. And it had already cleared through one side of the one chamber, I think through the Senate, and then they were trying to work it back in the House or the Senate. I can't remember which way it went, but the bankers came in. The banks came in, one of their representatives or whoever it was, and was like, "Oh, well, we're not the ones doing that's the credit card. You don't need to worry about us." And the legislature rolled over and said, "Okay, yeah, sure, we can take you out." So they took that out, took out all, rather than making sure that no financial institution could target gun owners, they cut it back to just credit card companies. I was like, what are we doing? Why are we caving to these people? So guess what? Uh, Almost all people in the House, all representatives in the House, including most of the Democrats, voted for it. In the Senate, it passed 34 to 1. So all of the Democrats ended up supporting the bill. Look, if modern day Democrats are supporting your pro gun bill, I don't know what to tell you. It's obviously nothing that they think is of any value or is actually going to do anything, or they wouldn't vote for it. Okay, the one person in the Senate that didn't vote for it was Senator Melissa Wintrow, and if you know her or followed us for a long time, she's probably the most anti-gun senator in the Senate. Okay, she's the moms demand action go-to person. Like that's who they like there. She's a big fan of theirs. All that stuff. She didn't vote for it. That was it. All the other Democrats voted for it. Most of the Democrats in the House also voted for it. Again, if modern day Democrats are in the Idaho Capitol are voting for your gun bill, they see no threat. They think it's just some stupid bill that can go through. And again, we supported it. We said, sure, whatever, but right now we've got a radical prosecutor in New York who was backed by George Soros's PAC, a PAC that George Soros funded and then gave all the money to George Soros. That's who's in the Capitol, or excuse me, that's who's in New York targeting Donald Trump right now. We've got extremists on the left who are going out and shooting people and attacking people, and not just the shooting that happened in Tennessee. I mean, if you can watch video after video after video, these people are violent, extremely angry, and violent. Okay, gun owners need protection. Idahoans need protection. That if you're forced to defend yourself, you're not rotting in a jail cell. And that's what SB 1004 was all about. Rather than you sitting in a jail cell for 3, 4, 5, 6 months on end, waiting to have some trial, and you've got some prosecutor who's backed by George Soros, and he's got a lot of them. He's got a lot of prosecutors that he's ended up backing, and I'm sure he did it legally. He's got a ton of money. He bought a bunch of elections, essentially. It wasn't hard for it. He could do the same. I don't think he has one in Idaho yet, but I could see him easily doing it in Ada County or Blaine County, Bonner County, maybe. No, maybe not Bonner County. What county is Sandpoint in? I can't remember. Anyway, this SB 1004 would give you their right to invoke stand your ground within 14 days of being in jail, and then they have to give you a hearing, a pre-trial hearing essentially, where the prosecution has to bring clear and convincing evidence that they have reason to believe you acted in a manner which was not self-defense. Okay? So they have to bring some sort of evidence that shows the judge there's clear and convincing evidence that they can hold you in jail. Okay, so you're not being Kyle Rittenhouse or McCloskey or whatever other example you want to use. And so, to me, that's what a good gun bill should do. We're putting heat on the government, right? We're doing it something that impacts all of us right away, immediately, and that's the type of bill that they stuffed in a drawer. And Senator Guthrie, who's down from McCammon, which is down here in far southern Idaho, like by Ingham, Idaho, Pocatello area, but not Pocatello. It's a little bit out further from that. That's the type of legislation we need. That Senator Guthrie sat on that. He sat on a bill to strip public universities and colleges' ability to regulate concealed carry. They never should have had that in the first place. He sat on that bill too. But by golly, HB 295, he was all about pushing something like that. And again, I'm not attacking the bill sponsors. I'm not saying it's a gun control bill. It's just, what are we doing? We're in frickin' Idaho. There's no reason we can't pass HB 295 and SB 1004 and the campus carry bill. I don't freaking remember what number it was. There's another bill to get rid of some old, antiquated anti-militia legislation that the gun grabbers are trying to use up north, or tried to use up north a couple years ago. Second year in a row now, we've tried to get rid of that. And Chairman Joe Palmer, maybe in transportation, if I remember correctly, in the House, he's sitting on that bill. That bill's gone nowhere. So again, they pick one bill, they try to make it do the least amount possible, they try to rock the boat the least amount possible, and that's what they pass. It's not until there's enough push and pressure from you guys that they finally go, okay, we've got to do something. And then that's usually when they come in, they steal our good bill, water it down a little bit, and then pass it, and then take all the credit for it. Whatever. I don't care. Get it done. Get it done. So if you wanted to know how gun bills work in Idaho, that's exactly how it's worked for over 10 years. Little variances maybe in how it's changed, but that is how it's worked for a really long time. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please be sure to share. Thank you for tuning in. If you're not a member of the ISA, join today. Join ISA.com. We'd love to have you guys on board. Me and Christy, we're doing all we can. It's been a really busy session, and we're kind of behind on a lot of stuff because we're just pushing and trying to do everything we can to help you guys. So thank you for all tuning in. Take care. God bless.